let's talk about your schooling. Where did you go to primary school? I went to a small village primary school in London, England. There were only 100 children in the whole school. I think there were about 15 children in my year. Do you enjoy school? Yes and no. I have always quite enjoyed school. I'm quite academic and I like learning. But I don't like tests and exams. I hate having deadlines. So often I found school very stressful. There is so much pressure. Is your favorite school subject? My favorite subject at school has always been English. I love reading, and it is so interesting to learn about what books mean and to discuss different interpretations. I also really enjoy history. Learning about the past really helps us to understand the present. Is your least favorite subject in school? Well, I've never been keen on science. It just doesn't hold my attention. I wish I enjoyed it more because I do think that it is interesting and important to understand how the world works. I'm just better suited to creative subjects. What did you study? Do you want to study? Or are you studying at university? I was hoping to study English literature at university. It has always been my best subject at school, and I really enjoy it. My favorite author is Jane Austen, so I'm hoping to specialize in studying her work. Part 2. Describe a teacher who you really did not like. You should say who the teacher was, what kind of person they were, what their lessons were like, and explain why you didn't like them. I've been lucky to have a lot of really great teachers, but there was one who I did not like at all. He was my science teacher when I was 14, and he was useless. All of our lessons were really boring, and we spent most of the time copying out of a textbook. He wasn't very good at explaining things, so it felt like we were just teaching ourselves most of the time. Also, because the lessons were so dull, some of my classmates would misbehave a lot and be very noisy and rude. He wasn't very good at controlling the class, which made it even harder to learn anything. Part 3. Do you think anyone can be a good teacher with practice? I think practice can make teachers better, but I don't think anyone can be a good teacher with enough practice. Personality is really important. Teachers need to be really enthusiastic and passionate about what they teach to make it fun and interesting for students. Not everyone can do this. Also, teachers need to have a lot of patience and understanding. With some teachers, it feels like they don't even like children. What qualities do you think a good teacher should have? I think that a good teacher should be passionate about both their subject and educating young people. Wanting to help children to learn, not just pass exams, should be their priority. A good teacher is also fair, listens to their students, and recognizes what learning techniques best suit their students. Would you like to be a teacher? Why or why not? Although I think education is really important, I wouldn't want to be a teacher. I just don't think I have it in me. You have to be very confident to stand up in front of a class of children and gain their respect, and I just think I would be too nervous to be able to do it. Do you think the majority of teachers are good at their job? To be honest, I think it's really hard to judge the majority of teachers when I've only experienced a few. From what I've seen, though, it's a bit hit and miss. There doesn't seem to be a general standard of teaching ability. Teachers often complain about being overworked. Do you agree? Oh yes, I think that teachers have a massive amount of work to do. There is so much paperwork involved nowadays, and that's before you even get to marking and lesson plans. I think that teaching is a very full-on job, and perhaps a bit too much is expected of teachers. Reducing class sizes or having more teachers responsible for a smaller number of classes might make their workload more reasonable. What can be done to improve the quality of teaching in schools? I think that teachers need regular training to ensure a better and more consistent quality of teaching in schools. Teachers' performance need to be checked more regularly, with lessons being observed and student feedback taken into account, so that underperforming teachers can be given more support. It's not just about what results their pupils get. A good teacher needs to be engaging their students in the subject. Should teachers be allowed to hit students who behave very badly? No, teachers should not be allowed to use violence against students. Discipline should not be physical because it sends the wrong message to students. It implies that violence is acceptable. I think that it is actually a very irresponsible form of punishment and could have dangerous consequences. What do you think can be done to improve discipline in schools? I think that the way to improve discipline in schools is to treat the students more like adults. You have to develop a mutual respect. Rules should be clear, and the consequences of breaking rules should be explicit. Idle threats should not be made, but discipline should also be fair. Students need to feel like they are being listened to. What would you do to improve the education system if you were the Minister for Education? I think the main improvement that I would make to the education system would be reducing the number of exams. I would introduce more coursework-based assessment so that the emphasis was on students really learning and understanding a subject, not just memorizing facts to repeat in an exam. I would also introduce more life skills education to teach students about the responsibilities they will face as adults.